Barnes to get things underway and throws a lovely strike first up.
Back in business here. This crowd has been treated to a real power play.
Welcome to the 19th edition of the Weber Cup, the annual tenpin showdown between Europe and the US. With 2 matches now played at this year's event, it's currently all square in the race to 19. Before we rejoin the action, a quick reminder of our teams. Dominic Barrett. Oh, it's there!
The more we get on this lane, the more we build as a team, the more momentum we have, and the last few years have shown the results that we can produce.
The 10, is it going to go? Yes!
Stuart Williams absolutely raises the roof. Individual losses we're not taking so painfully because we can see the end goal, and that's a team win. It's whether if I lose every point and we win, then that's great and we move on.
He's got to stay in the pocket right there. Boom, says Martin Larsen.
To be able to see the guys on tour and tell them another year, hey guys, you couldn't do it again, it's undescribable again.
He gets Europe off to the perfect start. Jesper Svensson.
We know each other very well, so when we have no plans on letting them bring the cup over to America, we're going to get 6 in a row.
Chris Barnes to get things underway. And throws a lovely strike first up.
As a matter of fact, Weber Cup Revenge is kind of the nickname for our team, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking to come back here, and we're looking to take the trophy back to the US.
Mr. 300, Tommy Jones can certainly shoot a strike to start with. How about that?
You're going to see a fiery side of me. You're going to see me probably yell, probably scream, and show crazy emotion that you don't normally see out of me.
Troop, the lead-off man, gets great reaction on the back end.
I'm tired of getting beat down. Being here my 3rd year, getting beat down 2 years in a row really gets old. So we're really looking forward to this year. We feel really confident coming in, and it's time to bring the Weber Cup back to the USA.
Got to stop somewhere. I don't want to be on the 6th end of it. I think a big key for us is getting off to an early start during the first 2 sessions, kind of setting the tone and then taking it from there.
The opening 2 games gave each side cause for optimism.
Team USA always seem to do better than Team Europe in Baker matches. But an open frame has more or less gifted this first Baker match to Team Europe. Oh, Barrett's got that ball working, that wraps it up. Troop doesn't look like he's going to make any mistakes at the moment. He is absolutely dialed on. Well, we're having our first nail biter pretty early here, aren't we? Oh my goodness, he's got it. But with a huge slice of luck.
USA won and Europe won.
A comfortable win for Europe in the Baker match before Kyle Troop gave America their first point with victory over Dom Barrett. Jesper Svensson takes on the debutant Anthony Simonsen in our next game, followed by Martin Larsen against Chris Barnes. But before that, a quick reminder of the rules of tenpin and how they apply to the Weber Cup. Tony Wrighton now explains.
The The lane is 42 inches wide and 60 foot long to the headpin, bordered by 2 gutters. The lane is applied with an oiling pattern, which reduces friction between the ball and the lane. Lane patterns can vary and can aid the bowler at times. The lane approach is 15 to 17 feet. There's a foul line between the approach and the lane. If a player touches or slides over this line after they've delivered the ball, it's called as a foul and no pins are scored. A full game is made up of 10 frames with up to 2 balls each frame. Knocking all 10 pins down with the first bowl is called a strike. Scoring 3 consecutive strikes is called a turkey. If a bowler doesn't score a strike, a second ball is thrown to clear other standing pins. If successful, this is called a spare. Failing to clear all pins with 2 balls is called an open frame. Sometimes pins are left standing at opposite ends of the pin deck. This is called a split and often results in an open frame. If scores are tied after 10 frames in this tournament, players will bowl off a 2-frame roll-off with the game scores scratched. The bowler's ultimate goal is a perfect 300 game, which is the maximum 10 strikes in a row. The Weber Cup has seen 6 perfect games in total, the last 2 being by Team USA in 2013.
So it's a 10-frame match with a strike worth 30 points and the maximum score being the magical 300. A spare is 10 points plus the pinfall of the first shot in the frame and actual pinfall after 2 shots in an open frame. Coming up now, match number 3, Svensson versus Simonsen.
You always want where you're from to be on top, so you know, the battle between the States and Europe is fun. We always mess with each other, you know, back at home just when we're bowling normally. And now to get to represent the country and do it on the bright lights, it'll be an exciting time.
I think I can bring some just young spirit to the team. The other guys are a little bit older and they've done this many times before. But you know, I'm young, I'm not scared, I'm just going out and doing my thing and hope I can just pump up the guys a little bit.
It's 1 point per win with 19 the overall target, and your commentators are Cass Edwards and Nick Hawley.
The 21-year-old Weber Cup debutant Anthony Simonsen against the 23-year-old Jesper Svensson. And Svensson has the advantage of bowling on the left side of this lane. Interestingly, that the Americans didn't bring a left-hander, so he's got pretty much clear oil there, whereas Simonson's going to have to deal with an oil pattern that has had an awful lot of traffic going through it already.
Yes, Nick, it's 3 games have been played on this lane, but as you say, Svensson's outside there on the left-hand side of that lane, all on his own. I personally can't understand why the Americans didn't bring a left-hander. There could be an actual match winner. It certainly wouldn't do any harm to have one. But yes, the young Anthony Simonsen, the man that's really in hot form at the moment, one of the top players in the world at this specific time.
Shaky start in the Baker, but like any world-class athlete, he'll have a short memory. That will be a thing of the past. But now here he is, under, as he said, the bright lights, all the focus and attention on him. Not sure he's ever played on a single arena lane like this before. Let's see how he gets underway. Well, ooh, that messenger just missed the 10 that sat there in the corner again.
Yeah, didn't quite get the reaction he wanted on the 3 and a 6 pin. Bounced round that 10. Watch this shot. It's just a flat 10. That 6 pin lays in the gutter.
On another day, that head pin takes out the 10. As it is, he'll take his spare ball. Has to take care of business.
Yeah, the spare ball a lot harder surface, so it doesn't hook so much. Goes a lot straighter. All these players use a different ball for their spares, especially the single pins.
Well, he came into this European lineup as a raw 21-year-old and has just belonged ever since. Jesper Svensson, back-to-back Weber Cup wins, and off to a flyer here.
Yes, his third Weber Cup for Jesper Svensson, the young man from Gothenburg. High game of 289 last year, and over his 6 singles matches, he averaged 250, which is quite a crazy score to average, as bowlers out there will know.
So early, Simonsen finds himself chasing. See if he can get his first strike. Nice pocket hit, never in doubt.
Yeah, 2 fingers in the ball and no thumb. Wraps both hands around that ball, gives it an awful lot of rotation. As you said, he's a guy Kaminsky mentioned, he's playing on the right-hand side of the lane where there's been a lot of traffic already over the first 2 matches. So there may be some variation in the line that he has to play. He may have to change his shot after a few frames.
Ooh, he's nailed a double. Look at this. Very positive start from the young Jesper Svensson.
2 strikes in a row. Great looking shot right in the 1 and the 2 pin pocket for the left-hander. Those pins get thrown straight back into the pin deck. 2016, this man was the Swedish Rookie Sportsman of the Year and made an appearance on national television in Sweden. That's how highly they think of tenpin bowling in certain places in Europe.
Well, that's put the pressure on him, and he's responded very well. Simonsen, a lovely, smooth delivery.
Yep, 2 strikes in a row. Great start. Certainly puts pressure back on Svensson. When one player starts striking, the other has just got to stay in touch, because the difference between a 9 spare and a 30-pin strike is 11 pins, obviously.
Well, we've just had the 1 pin left standing after the first ball in this match so far. That was his 9 spare in frame 1. So Svensson, 2 out of 2, the left-hander, with the advantage of this relatively fresh oil. And he takes a very lucky strike indeed. They all count. But Jesper Svensson will be the first to say, I used up a bit of my Weber Cup luck for this year right there.
That's a bit of Lucky Larsen's luck, isn't it? I'm not even going to describe this one, because everyone can see it was a strike because all 10 pins went down, but that's all I'm going to say.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup, where it's currently 1 apiece between Europe and the US. After 3 strikes, Jesper Svensson currently leads the debutant Anthony Simonsen 90-79 in their singles match. We pick up the action at the start of the 4th. Commentary from Nick Halling and Cass Edwards.
Well, we call it locked and loaded. 3 strikes in a row. It's turkey time for the American. The debutant, great looking shot, really rips the rack, takes all 10 pins straight to the back of the pin deck.
He's really keeping the heat on here. Svensson dodged a bullet last time up. Now he'll have known what went wrong on that last one. Never mind that he got lucky. What kind of adjustment will he make, if any? Well, he didn't. He didn't.
Oh dear, that is a major error. The 4-7-10 split standing up and likely to be an open frame. It's just so high through the head pin. Much too much reaction the back end there. He's going to give it a shot, but a lot more than likely be an open frame.
Yeah, it's very, very unusual to get this one sorted out. He gave it his best shot, but open frame turns this match upside down.
Yeah, gives a 10-pin lead to Anthony Simonsen.
Well, the warning was there for Jesper. He had to do something different after that rather fortuitous third strike, and paid the price on the back end of that with an open frame. And the way Simonsen's just started dialing up the strikes, that's a major concern for Dom Barrett and the rest of the European players. Now, can he find another one? That's what you do. Your opponent leaves an open frame, you have to come in with a strike like that.
It's a great looking shot. It's 4 strikes in a row and extends the lead for Team USA. Maximum score of 289. It's a great looking shot, gets the reaction in the back end, also kicks that 10-pin out.
And I'll tell you something else we can kick out. You know, we wondered about his nerves and how he would cope on the big stage. Shaky start in the Baker, but we can forget about nerves on the big stage. He's already shown he belongs.
Well, he's got a pretty reasonable pedigree that I'll mention next time he's up.
Well, the pressure has now reverted onto Svensson, who was being pushed while leading. Now he's chasing, and more to the point, he's got to make an adjustment, and he does.
I think he upped his speed a little bit there and maybe went a little bit wider on the lane, but certainly got the reaction. That previous frame, the big split, was just really so bad.
Yeah, very different looking shot, wasn't it? It keeps him well in contact here. And there's a lot of this match still to be played. We're at halfway.
Yes, Anthony Simonsen last week won this Singapore Open tournament and picked up the biggest winner's check of his life. In fact, one of the biggest winner's checks of the whole season that anybody will pick up, and he's just gone 5 strikes in a row.
How much was that check? Come on, you can tell us.
Dollars-wise, it was 50K. Very nice too, and he also had high results in Korea and in Munich earlier this year. He won the Irish Open back in January. He really has been on a hot streak in 2018.
Which is exactly why Chris Barnes has installed him into his lineup. And it keeps the pressure on Svensson. Yeah, he's enjoying this right now. Look, I look like a good captain. I've made a good call here. Svensson rips another one, so he isn't going anywhere either. Well, a little shake of the head there. He's still probably kicking himself for that open frame.
Still 10 pins adrift. I think Chris Barnes is looking happy because Svensson's being beaten, and I think the Team USA think that Jesper Svensson is the real danger man on the European side. Not that you could really pick anyone to be too dangerous. They're all very, very dangerous players, but they like to see Svensson get beaten, especially by this young man as well. Got something to prove on this lane, and he's going about it in the right way. Looking for 6 strikes in a row, and makes it.
And the scary thing is, from the European perspective, all 6 have been absolutely sweet, one following another. I tell you, when they do the spectro analysis of this, you're going to see barely any variation in the line. I mean, this is clockwork from Simonsen.
He looks very relaxed, doesn't he? Very relaxed indeed. Looking at pacing 289 if he can strike off with 3 more strikes. Massive game. And of course it would be a victory.
Well, Svensson's not out of this, but he has to keep striking. He's already had 1 turkey. He needs another one right here. There it is. But of course those 2 turkeys, the sandwich in it was a 7-2 open frame. He hasn't gone yet, has he?
No, well, they've both turkeyed out, so turkeyed in the last 3 frames, so one counteracts the other. It's still a 10-pin game. An advantage to Team USA.
Well, if he can keep his balance, we might be able to get him through the rest of the match as well. Nearly went down there, and he's a big lad to fall as well.
Yeah, well, he's carrying all that extra hair on his chin from last year. So I've never seen that before, but obviously it's something he likes.
Well, here's Simonsen. looking for a magnificent 7. Well, what can you do about this?
What can you say about it? It looks so simple, doesn't it? Classic two-hander, classic hook bowling. The outside of the lane, right into the 1-3 pocket, maybe a fraction high. And the 9-pin is the last one to go, but it doesn't matter because he's hit all 10, and that's 7 in a row.
Well, if anyone was thinking of asking Chris Barnes, why are you bringing in an untested 21-year-old rookie into your team? I think we've got our answer.
Yes, 2016 won the United States Bowling Congress Masters Tournament. His CV is looking very impressive.
You might as well tell us what he hasn't won. Well, Svensson has not gone away yet. This match is not over yet. How he must be kicking himself for one frame. And where he'll really be kicking himself is that he had the warning. That's a 4-bagger for Svensson.
Nick, I think it's coming down to the stage of who doesn't strike will lose. Because a 9 spare or any spare will be no good. The amount of strikes these guys are shooting at 30 pins a time. The scores are racked up. Look, it's maximum's 279, plays 289. Just crazy scores.
It really is. Oh, it's gone, it's gone. It thought about it, it was slow motion, and it went. And that could be the pin that secures the win for Team USA right here.
Can you believe that? High on the head pin. It was out of the pocket, but look at that 4-pin. So slow, but it has actually gone. He cannot believe it. Look at the body language.
There's a glimmer of hope there, though, for Europe, because for the first time in quite a while, he wasn't quite on his line there. Got away with it, and he only needs one more, of course, and he also knows that Svensson needs one here just to stay in touch. This is now huge pressure on Jesper Svensson. Nothing else but a strike will do. And he lost the line. And he's lost the match.
Unfortunately, that will be the game. Jesper Svensson, the young man from Gothenburg in Sweden. He looked pretty good. He just had the one open frame in frame number 4. Everything else was strikes, bar this frame. Leaves the 4 and the 7-pin standing. It's going to be a straightforward spare, 8 spare, but that's not what he needed.
Well, he's still pacing 267 here, and he's going to be on the wrong end of it. Unless something extraordinary happens on Simonson's last frame.
8 pins will do it, and that will be victory for Anthony Simonsen and Team USA. Just keep it on the lane. You can bet your life he's not going to vary anything. He's going to play for the 1-3 pocket and look for another 10 and victory.
8 in a row from Anthony Simonsen. Does he sign off this match with a 9th? No, but it's still enough to get him through.
Spare for 278. As you say, Nick, with the 8 strikes in a row, Svensson can only make 267.
He opened with a spare. He closes with a spare. In between, it was close to perfection from Anthony Simonsen.
And that's why Chris Barnes picked him to play in the Weber Cup for Team USA.
And, Svensson, who has been so often the last couple of years the ace in the hole for Don Barrett, has not been able to come up with the goods this time. And he signs off with a still very impressive 256, but the honours definitely belong in the battle of the youngsters to the 21-year-old young gun from Texas who has shot down the Swedish left-hander.
A great start to his Weber Cup career sees Anthony Simonsen claim a 21-pin victory over Jesper Svensson, moving the US into a 2-1 lead in this race to 19. Reaction and comment coming up after the break. Welcome back to Arena MK and the 19th edition of the Weber Cup, where Anthony Simonsen has just given the US their second singles victory, opening a narrow 2-1 lead over Team Europe. He's now with Hannah Wilkes.
That's kind of the perfect way to start a Weber Cup. Your debut couldn't have gone much better, could it?
No, the first shot of Baker is always a little rough, just your first shot in a new environment, and I'm happy to bounce back the way I did.
And playing against Jesper on this lane, he's the only left-hander, so it gives him a bit of an advantage. Was it challenging?
Yeah, we all know that he was going to, strike 8 or 9 times. That's what he does everywhere, around the world. I just knew I'd come out, bowl a good game and see what happens.
How did you find it out here on this unique lane?
It's different having fans on both sides of us. A one-lane setting, it's fun, it's different. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you.
Confirmation of all the results so far, and it was Europe who took the opening Baker match before the US hit back in the singles with victory for Troop, and as we just saw, the debutant Simonsen. Coming up now with 11 Weber Cup wins between them, it's Martin Larsen against Chris Barnes.
The Weber Cup is like the Ryder Cup of bowling, and so it's something we all want to be a part of. There's a huge amount of pride. It's one of the most unique settings, probably the most unique setting in all of bowling. It's one of the most exciting venues in all of bowling, and it's an opportunity to represent your country.
We always bowl in bowling centers, maybe sometimes in stadiums with 2 lanes, but the 1 lane thing, that's what really makes the Weber Cup so special.
This is match 4 with commentary from Guy Kaminski and Nick Halling.
Guy Kaminski has staggered up those stairs to get here. You are going to lose some weight this weekend, my friend.
Look, I need it, so that's a good thing, so nothing wrong with that. But obviously, I'm spending time on the lane, which I'm quite lucky, Nick. The atmosphere is very, very different to previous years.
In what sense? More tension, more focus from the Americans?
They're much more upbeat. There's a real sense of unity, an absolute sense of purpose and determination with them. The Europeans are the same like they've always been each year, but there's a distinct difference in the USA side.
We are not seeing the Americans drifting off and just doing their own thing. They've been very supportive of each other. Everyone's sticking around a little bit, and a lot of that goes down to the leadership that this man right there is providing. Now, can he provide the win here, or will Martin Larsen have something to do about that? The lane has been dressed, and he's left himself the sleeper to deal with there. It is fresh oil then.
Yeah, we also refer to this as a mother-in-law, the spare. It's always tough to get the one out in the back, so just got to make sure that he covers the pin that's hiding behind the front one. But the other thing, this is also a good matchup. Martin, with respect, didn't have the greatest of Weber Cups last year. He was battling with a wrist injury. He's had an operation since. He said he's not 100% fit, but he's 95%. He's just about there. He said this weekend there's not too many games. He'll be fine.
Well, he's managed to spare out there, as you say, take that one that's tucked away behind the lead pin. We do often see those missed. You get your angle wrong, you get egg on your face. But yes, Martin, I think by his own admission, kind of felt the other guys carried him a little bit last year, but over the years, what a contributor he has been to the Weber Cup.
Well, I mean, never been in a losing side, so there's no doubting his contribution. So I think his teammates are only too happy to carry him for 1 year,
So Chris Barnes opens up with a strike. He too's had his injury problems and health issues, hasn't he? Had a big back problem a couple of years ago.
Absolutely. He also ended up under the knife, and I mean, interesting stat. I mean, 46 years old. He just won his first title in the US. For 5 years. It's been a 5-year drought, so he is absolutely back to his best. I mean, you can just see, and it's a funny thing, sport, when your confidence is there, just everything starts going your way. I mean, even that strike there wasn't quite perfect in the pocket, but got all the pins down, had got a good mix, but confidence is a funny thing in this game.
Yeah, in any sport, and certainly in this sport, the psychological side cannot be overestimated. Larsen has managed to take 9, but that 7-pin has sat in the corner and said, sorry, Martin, not tonight.
Yeah, that's the look of confusion that you're seeing right there, is because his first one was a little bit right of that, and it didn't quite turn. So he made the adjustment, thought, okay, let me just aim a bit more in, closer to the pocket, and then that one hooked. Now, as a bowler, that's the last thing you want to see, is when you make an adjustment, you don't get what you expect. You can see the ball coming high in the head pin there. So he's a bit perplexed. He hasn't quite worked the lane out just yet.
Oh, what he can't do is that. No, that's a mental mistake. Sorry to cut you off there, but that was a shocker. From the moment it left his fingers, you knew that was heading straight into the gutter.
Yeah, I mean, I just took it as a formality, Nick. I mean, I wasn't even really focused on the fact that he could potentially miss that.
I mean, that wasn't even close. That wasn't even close. That was long gone.
Yeah, strange. The only thing it's going to be a mental issue. Those guys make 9 out of 100 of those.
Barnes finds the 10 sitting there. That is a little glimmer of hope for Martin Larsen, sat in his chair wondering what on earth is going on right now. That gives him a chance to get back into this.
Yeah, and with our scoring system with 30 pins for a strike, being 10 pins behind really is not a big margin at all.
Barnes makes sure he doesn't make the same mistake. Yeah, because you do see single pins missed every so often. They're not machines, they're humans. But to miss by that wide a margin really was extraordinary. Now, he's got to forget that's just got to go into the delete bin right there. He's got to just come out and start again. But right now, Martin Larsen is fighting this lane, and the lane is ahead on points.
Yeah, for us players, if you miss a pin like that you make 99 out of 100, you really do forget about it pretty quickly. But what you won't forget is if you lose the match by 10 pins, then you want to kick yourself.
That is exactly what he needed.
Just from a player's point of view, that still didn't look great. Didn't really, I don't think it fulfilled him with confidence in any way, because the bowling ball hasn't quite got flush. You can see it there. He went back out to the right, and it hasn't hooked the amount that he's expected it to hook. So now, he's going to be wondering, does he have to move his feet? Does he have to slow the ball speed down? He's going to have to make an adjustment to get that ball to come up flush into the pocket.
Barnes looking to turn up the pressure here. And he has left a pin standing as well. That was another strange ball that I'm quite sure it was quite where he wanted it to go. And a groan there from Chris Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way he's playing the lane. I think his angles are good. My only concern, and we spoke to him about it on the lane, is that has he got the right bowling ball? He's changed balls. I'm still not convinced this is the right bowling ball that he's got in his hand. And you can see he's
What's wrong
changing.
with it? What would you change?
I think what he really needs is saying sort of hook a little bit more. Yeah, he's not the new modern power player. These kids can turn it so much. But he's just changed ball there now. You can see they have interchangeable thumb slugs, which is quite interesting. So basically, they can take that thumb hole out and put it into another ball, so the feel's always identical. So it's really amazing how technology's impacted our sport.
So despite being a bit of a voyage into the unknown, this match for Martin Larsen, he's still very much in it. We've had an 8 spare, we've had an open, then a rather scrappy looking strike, but a double here keeps him ticking over. But we don't know what we're going to get with Martin, do we, right now? Well, that's as clean a pocket hit as we've seen.
That was an absolutely perfect shot there. And the other thing I think, from Martin's point of view, is that Chris is not looking particularly dialed in himself. It's not like when you watch Simonsen and Svensson, when you think every ball's going to strike. These guys, you're thinking they haven't quite got into the rhythm yet.
So while Larsen takes his seat, up steps Barnes, and so interesting, you can sat under the American flag right now, all 3 of his teammates in a row watching. I mean, the message has clearly gone out from Barnes. We are winning or losing as a team. He was offline there. And there's no disappearing into your own zone, no going off and just dealing with your own demons. They are all there.
And this is why I'm sitting up here and not bowling anymore, Nick, because I said he needed more hook. He got it there, went straight through the nose. So it wasn't, I think he underestimated how much it would turn, but I don't think he liked that look at all.
Well, why is the lane causing both these players such problems? Because it is a freshly dressed lane. This shouldn't be happening, should it?
No, I don't think this is a lane issue. I think this is their first match. You've got to remember, this is their first game. And it does, sometimes you can be like Simonsen, you can just kind of find the groove pretty early. But sometimes it can take a game or two, you know. Like you said, they're not machines. Chris, although he's played Jan numerous times, he's been out for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, look at that banter between the guys. I mean, that's I mean, interesting that he's going to the youngest guy.
Yes, exactly. That's just what I was going to say, although Tommy Jones getting involved now as well. But Barnes, I think, is actually trying to get a bit of feedback from them.
Yeah, which is a great team ethic. I think that's what the Europeans do so well. I think they trust each other and they get such good information from each other. Because that's a great shot there from Martin as well. You can see he's got it dialed in now. And Chris knows he has to strike. That's also why, if you're playing a bowling tournament, when you'd have many games to bowl, you don't panic at this point in time. First game, you just carry on. But here, every match is a sprint. So you can't afford to wait for changes. So having your teammates, people who've been out there, what did you do? What worked for you? Can it assist? Because, as I said, this is a sprint and Martin's running away with it.
Hasn't had a strike since frame 1. Barnes needs one here and gets it.
Yeah, that looked real good. You can see that he moved a bit inside and he got that ball further away from the pocket. That looked real good. I like the look of that.
Welcome back to the 19th Weber Cup, the annual 10-pin showdown between Europe and the US. The Europeans started well, taking the opening match. The US hit back in the second and the third. This is now the fourth, and Martin Larsen has a slight advantage over the American Chris Barnes. Commentary from Guy Kaminsky and Nick Halling.
Well, Larsen, if they both strike out from here, has a 1-pin lead. That's so narrow, of course. And there we go. That's over right there, and a look of absolute horror on the face of Martin Larsen.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's shaking his head there. He missed that inside. You can see how that ball's come straight through the headpin. Yeah, it really wasn't a great shot there from Martin.
And yet his previous 2, he's had 3 in a row. His previous 2 were just nailed on. And there, as you say, he just went off into fantasy land, didn't he?
I think we've also been a little bit spoilt with those 2 games that are so high scoring. We've come back to reality. This game is no walk in the park, so we're getting a bit of a reality check about how hard these lanes are, and the ability of the top athletes in the sport make it look so easy.
Well, now Martin is doing exactly what Chris Barnes was doing a few moments ago, because they're on the other side. The 2 Englishmen. But a strike here puts the Americans right back in business. And that's exactly what he got. So push a little.
Well, I love that look. I still think that's the way to go. Maybe Chris just felt in the freshly oiled lane. He didn't want to use a bowling ball that had too much angle down lane. But I think the scoring pace is so high that he was forced to be aggressive and went with an aggressive move. And he probably just got reassurance from his teammates saying, stick with the aggression, have a go.
6 frames in. 2 of them have been open for Martin Larsen. So, quite frankly, he just needs to strike out off the page here. And again, he's not found the pocket at all, and he's having a tough night here, Martin Larsen. I mean, the good news is he can spare out, but that's a crumb of comfort.
Disappointing there for Martin. I mean, a lane can't change that drastically, that much, that quickly. I can tell you, he's just unfortunately made 2 bad shots there, and hasn't quite found his groove just yet.
Well, whatever he asked of Stuart Williams and Dominic Barrett, they weren't able to conjure up a good shot for Larsen. He's suffering out there at the moment.
Also, when you go with aggressive moves and you play for more hook, you also can get more disasters, if that's the right way to say it. You can see more 6s and 7s, whereas before we knew Chris was going to get 8s and 9s. He was pretty safe. So, I mean, the door's not completely closed on Martin here.
Well, it might be now.
But the light is fading fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, I really like that ball change. I like that look compared to when Chris started this match and then played in the Baker game as well. Yeah, he's loving that look. You can see the body language, just everything about them, just the way they're all down there. They're up for it.
Well, what's Larsen got here? No, he just can't find the pocket.
I don't think it's coming off his hand good. I think that's the problem. he looks a little bit just like he hasn't got space for it to the freedom to let it go. It feels like he's just hanging on to it.
And I tell you who's worried right now, Dom Barrett, Team Europe captain, because you can't carry somebody in a competition of this magnitude, and if Martin Larsen can't shake himself out of this very quickly, Europe are going to be hamstrung because he's had a tough one.
Yeah, he has. And then all those fans at home who the fans vote for the last player, I hope they're out there voting for somebody else, because I wouldn't like to see, well, unless you're an American player, but I wouldn't want to see Martin out there again this evening.
Yeah, well, even a 9 spare is good enough. This is a jog to the winning line here for Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes just needs to keep it clean here, and just basically just needs spares all the way home, and he should be totally fine.
And what Stuart Williams, who is one of the biggest trash talkers in the game, will not be doing is making him worry, making him fret, making him stress. He's probably telling him a couple of jokes.
Well, I mean, last year America went out, I think it was to a 5-1 or 6-1 lead early on. They're so experienced. There's no panic there. But they're thinking long term. They're not worried about this game. They're happy to write the game off. But they're saying, right, well, let's use these next 2 frames here, and let's try and get something for the next match. They're thinking about you know, the finish line, not so much now, but rather on Sunday night. Yeah,
that's a good point, because there's no such thing as a completely wasted frame.
Absolutely, not in this environment. The more information you can get, the better it holds you down the line. And having 5 years experience helps that much more. But every time you're out here, you're getting an advantage.
Well, I'll tell you something. If Martin Larsen is thinking of updating his highlight reel, nothing from this match is going to be in it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see his ball shape just doesn't look right. You can see he's uncomfortable. He doesn't seem settled in the lane. But as with Chris, you get the right thing, you make a good shot. The confidence comes back instantly, but as quickly as it comes back, also as quickly as it goes away, unfortunately. That's the brutal thing about confidence. But you can see he's going to get another ball now, just to try something else. He's not liking the look he's got with that ball. Although it looked really good in the Baker game, but just, yeah. And every time all these lanes, they never come out exactly the same. Oh, yeah. Yeah, body looking real good. So, I mean, just on the outfit, what we've seen so far, which we haven't seen in previous years, we've now seen 3 USA players, and all of them look unbelievably comfortable on this lane. So the last person to come up is going to be Tommy. But we've seen before, even with one player being not on fire, so to speak, you can carry him through like they did with Martin. But when they've had 2 and 3 guys battling, it's impossible.
Well, they're not battling at the moment, the Americans. They really do look comfortable, and Martin has not managed to sign off on a high note, and he is going to have a sub-200 game, which is horrible for him personally, and a real shocker. We don't get many sub-200 matches in the Weber Cup.
Yeah, weird how that back end of the game, really just the lane went away from him. He just went out of shape there, and that could also be the pressure that maybe he felt. He saw that Chris was, going to come at him, and maybe the pressure got to him.
Well, he had a turkey early, but 2 open frames and a bunch of spares. Has seen Martin Larsen's challenge fizzle out, and it's been an easy night for Chris Barnes, who has helped steer the United States to 3 straight victories in singles competition. That was an absolute rout, a 56-pin victory for the American skipper, 255 against Martin Larsen's horror show of a 199. The Americans right now in cruise control. 3 out of 3 then for Team USA.
It's great to be back home, and this lane feels a lot like home to me.
Now, you said earlier on today that you weren't sure you'd ever play Weber Cup bowling again. How much are you trying to really make this count and savour it?
Well, I know that my opportunities are more limited as an experienced player. Let's just go with that. But, we got a great group of guys. We got youth and power and a little bit of age and experience, and hopefully that pays off. It sure is fun to be here again.
It's certainly paying off so far. 3-1 up this session. Not to play devil's advocate, but the USA did win this session last year. What do you need to do to hold on to that lead and advance it?
Well, one of the things that happened last year is that first session, USA had an advantage, but they didn't really take big advantage of it. They had a lead, but they didn't put their foot on their throat. And so, it's too early to tell if we have that much of an advantage, but we certainly got a lead now, and if we can stretch that out into a bigger lead in these sessions where you have some momentum, I think that's really the key.
Team USA, looking to reverse 5 years of Weber Cup misery, have had a strong start to this year's event. 3 wins out of 4, giving the board a distinctly red look. Will it continue? We'll find out next time as Williams and Barrett both face the US legend Tommy Jones in singles action.
Drop it.